Joining us is Democratic Congresswoman Judy Chu of California, sponsor of the Women's Health Protection Act. And Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
So the Women's Health Protection Act passed in the House but failed in the Senate, with all Republicans and Democrat Joe Manchin opposing it. Senate Majority Leader Schumer is expected to bring a similar bill up again for another vote. But is there any chance that it will pass?
Well, I am glad that he is putting that bill on the floor again in the Senate. One thing we can do is at least get a majority vote in the Senate. There were three Democrats that were absent that day. There are two Republicans, Senator Murkowski and Collins, that are pro-choice. We could have 51 voting for this bill. Now, we still face the filibuster, but it is very important to show that a majority of the Senate do protect women's health and protect women's right to choice.
In this moment, do you think the filibuster is something that the Senate should seriously consider getting rid of for a vote on the Women's Health Protection Act in order to get a majority passage?
Well, I tell you, if there was any time to do away with the filibuster, it would be for this. Now, I thought they would do away with the filibuster on voting rights. I thought they would do away with the filibuster on the George Floyd Policing Act. But no, they did not. And now we have women that are galvanized all across this country who are angry, who are upset, who are disturbed by the potential of Roe versus Wade being gone and struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. Doing nothing isn't an option. And that's why I think every senator is going to hear from the women and the justice-loving people in their districts, and they're going to hear so much anger, so much fury that the Supreme Court would strike down a constitutional right that we've had for the past 50 years. It is going to put women in a second-class position, and there are many women that could be deprived of a right that's been there for so long.
It's my entire lifetime. Doing nothing isn't an option, as you said. But sometimes you find when you do something, it's challenged in the courts. So healthcare reform, for example, Obamacare, was a big debate in the Obama administration. And people said things like, we have to do something. So something was done, but it was challenged in the courts. Do you think that that is an obstacle for something like the Women's Health Protection Act, even if it does pass the Senate?
Well, this bill has been looked at by so many of our constitutional rights attorneys. They do believe that it will stand muster from any kind of legal challenge that there is, because it is based on the Commerce Clause and is based on the 14th Amendment for due process and equality. So we think that we have legal standing. Of course, they will attempt to challenge it in court. But when the Women's Health Protection Act does pass, then women all across this country will be protected again. And they do not have to then go to different states and suffer the kinds of economic problems that so many women of color especially would have if they were forced to do that.
One of the things you hear a lot of Democrats saying in the wake of the leaked draft opinion is the encouragement of people to get engaged and to vote. The problem, though, is that in 2013, the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in that Shelby case. And also, states have passed restrictive voting laws since the 2020 elections. What else is there besides simply, in the upcoming midterms voting that people can do in this moment to show that they are opposed to this move by the Supreme Court?
Well, we can't underestimate the power of voting and of holding every elected official accountable for their stand on this issue, on the freedom to make a decision about your own body. This is something that can be voted on with your candidates at the local level, at the state level, and certainly it's so important to do that on the federal level. Now, on the federal level, let me say this, because the American public supports the woman's right to choice and has so at a majority level for quite some time now, the House has changed. And as a result, when my bill came up in the House, it had the strongest pro-choice vote ever in the history of Congress. So things have changed, and it is because the American people have supported candidates who support a woman's right to choice.
Congresswoman, I'm glad you brought that fact up. It is true that we're in a moment, ironically, where we have a majority pro-choice Congress for the first time in American history, and yet the Supreme Court is ruling in this way. Judy Chu from California, thank you so much, Congresswoman, for being here today. Please stay safe.
Hi, I'm Zerlina Maxwell. Thanks for checking out our channel on YouTube. You can see more from Zerlina by clicking any of the videos on this screen, and make sure you subscribe below to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. Thanks for watching.